It is 2 a.m. and you are clinging to the absolute edge of your mattress. Your back is rigid, one leg is suspended over the floor, and a solid mass of fur is occupying 80% of the bed space you actually paid for. As you stare at the ceiling, feeling the rhythmic breathing of your dog pressed aggressively against your ribs, you probably tell yourself they just like the warmth. Or maybe it is just a stubborn habit you never quite managed to train out of them. You might even think they are just a little too clingy. You would be wrong on all three counts. What is happening on your mattress right now has nothing to do with convenience or a poorly enforced boundary. When your dog forces their spine against yours in the dead of night, they are executing a deeply calculated neurochemical imperative forged over thousands of years. They are not merely stealing your blankets. They are reacting to an ancient biological mandate that completely rewrites how we understand the bond between species. To understand why your dog refuses to sleep anywhere but directly on top of your legs, we have to look at how they actually view you. Researchers at Eötvös Loránd University in Budapest decided to map the exact nature of canine devotion, and what they found stripped away the idea that dogs merely see us as a source of food. They subjected dogs to the Ainsworth Strange Situation Framework, which is the exact psychological test used to measure how human infants bond with their mothers. The results showed a psychological mirror image. Dogs seek proximity when anxious, display separation distress when their person leaves, and experience immediate physiological calm upon reunion. The most staggering takeaway from the research is a specific number. The data revealed that 61% of dogs display a secure attachment style to their owners. If you open a pediatric psychology textbook, you will find that 61% is the exact same ratio of secure attachment found in human toddlers. Your dog does not look at you as a pack leader. They process your presence with the identical neurological pathways a human child uses to process their parents. When the lights go out and the house falls silent, your dog does not just want a soft place to rest. They choose the exact spot beside you because their brain is explicitly telling them that you are the safest entity in their entire world. That feeling of safety is not just an abstract concept. It is a highly potent biological feedback loop pumping through both of your veins. The journal Science published a landmark study from Azabu University in Japan that finally isolated the exact chemical mechanism of dog and human love. The trigger is oxytocin, the bonding molecule largely responsible for maternal attachment. The mechanism is almost violently simple. Your dog looks into your eyes and your brain releases a surge of oxytocin. You feel that sudden rush of affection and look back at them, which instantly spikes their own oxytocin levels. This mutually beneficial chemical loop physically alters both of your bodies, but it comes with a deeply unsettling caveat. The researchers attempted the exact same experiment with wolves. They used wolves that had been hand-raised by humans from the moment they were born, bottle-fed and nurtured with absolute devotion. The oxytocin loop never activated, not even once. The wolves never held the human gaze and the chemical bond never materialized. This proves the desire to connect with you is not something a dog learns. It is something they are. When you let your dog into your bed and spend just 10 minutes physically touching them in the dark, both of your bodies experience a radical drop in cortisol, the primary stress hormone. You are quite literally medicating each other, flushing anxiety from your nervous systems to physiologically prepare both bodies for deep, restorative sleep. This chemical dependency did not happen by accident. If you go back 15,000 years, long before the invention of agriculture, writing, or cities, you will find the harsh, freezing reality of early human survival. Imagine a dark, ancient forest, a flickering campfire, and the glowing eyes of wolf silhouettes lurking at the absolute edge of the firelight. Something shifted in the dark. A 14,000-year-old burial site discovered in Germany reveals a human skeleton deliberately buried alongside a young dog. Bone analysis showed the dog had suffered from a brutal case of canine distemper and would have died within days on its own. Instead, early humans stopped their nomadic survival routine to nurse this animal through 5 grueling weeks of sickness before it ultimately passed away. They did not eat it. They mourned it. They dug a grave for it. That level of prehistoric empathy fundamentally changed the biological trajectory of an entire species. Today, if you look at chromosome 6 in your dog's DNA, you will find specific genetic insertions dictating extreme hypersociability. These genetic markers do not exist in wolves. We did not simply domesticate dogs by offering them leftover meat. By bringing them close to our fires and treating them like family, we literally reached into their genetic code and permanently rewrote their DNA so they would biologically require human presence to survive the night. This genetic need creates an entirely baffling medical contradiction every time you turn out the lights. Objective medical data from the Mayo Clinic clearly demonstrates that sleeping with a dog is a terrible idea for your physical rest. Dogs have polyphasic sleep cycles. They wake up constantly, they scratch, they adjust, they kick, and their movements objectively disrupt human sleep cycles. By all scientific metrics, you should wake up exhausted. Yet, when you look at psychological data, including a comprehensive 2024 study from the University of Jyväskylä in Finland, the opposite is true. Owners consistently report feeling vastly more rested and secure when their dog is present in the bed. The answer to this paradox lies in heart rate variability co-regulation. When your dog presses against you, your nervous systems begin a silent, autonomic dialogue. The steady, rhythmic breathing of a deeply bonded animal acts as a biological metronome. Your nervous system detects their calm state and literally synchronizes its own rhythm to match theirs. If you placed an unfamiliar human in your bed, your brain would register them as a threat and flood your body with adrenaline. But when your dog curls up beside you, your brain drops all defensive protocols. Only a bonded dog possesses the neurochemical authority to override your natural sleep disruptions and force your nervous system into a state of profound peace. Because this nightly ritual is so deeply hardwired into their biology, any sudden deviation requires your immediate, undivided attention. If your dog has spent years sleeping by your side and abruptly starts choosing the cold floor, sleeping in another room, or pacing the dark hallways alone, you need to understand that this is never a random behavioral quirk. It is a distress signal. Your dog is trying to tell you something they cannot say out loud, and the two most common culprits require urgent intervention. The first is hidden physical pain. A dog suffering from the early stages of arthritis or hidden joint deterioration will often avoid the bed simply because the act of jumping up or down has become secretly excruciating. They will isolate themselves rather than show you they are vulnerable. The second warning sign is far more devastating. Cognitive decline. 35% of all dogs over the age of 8 develop canine cognitive dysfunction, which is the exact animal equivalent of dog dementia. One of the very first symptoms of this systematic brain deterioration is the complete destruction of their sleep routines and spatial memory. They wander the house at night because they are confused, anxious, and biologically unmoored from the routines that once gave them comfort. If your shadow suddenly stops following you into the bedroom, do not assume they just want space. Assume they need a doctor. When the health of your dog is secure, that nightly intrusion becomes something entirely different. Tonight, when you find yourself clinging to the very edge of the mattress, stripped of your blankets and restricted to a tiny sliver of space, take a moment to reframe exactly what is happening in the dark. Out of every single scent they could follow, out of every comfortable surface in your home, and out of every other option available to them, your dog deliberately calculated the precise location of your body. They chose to press their spine against yours because thousands of years of evolution, a specific genetic mutation on chromosome 6, and a rushing flood of oxytocin all commanded them to seek out the one human being who makes their world make sense. They are not stealing your bed. They are anchoring their entire existence to yours. Drop a comment below and tell me what percentage of the bed your dog takes up tonight. But before you turn out the lights, you need to know that sleeping beside you is only half the story. The way your dog looks at you across the room holds an even deeper, far more complex psychological secret. The exact reason why dogs stare into their owner's eyes involves a neurobiological trick that borders on mind control, and we are unpacking that entire science right here.